Right now in Canada, the entire country is arguing about one word: recession. 2 quarters of negative GDP, the economy shrank by 0.2% to close out 2025, then flattened at the start of 2026. So the headlines screamed technical recession. The bank economists say not so fast, and everyone is running around trying to pick a side. Here's the problem. While we're being baited into an argument, nobody's telling you the part that actually hits your wallet and actually matters. The things that hit your mortgage, your equity, your buying power, and your wealth generation abilities. Because the recession debate is a distraction. The real damage happened a decade ago, and it never stopped. Now, before we get into this, here are the rules of the video. We're not talking about rate predictions. We're not doing political hot takes. We're talking about 3 things: why the recession fight is a smokescreen, the one number that actually measures whether Canadians are getting richer or poorer, and what it means for you, your mortgage, your purchasing power, and your ability to generate wealth as a Canadian. And we've got Stats Canada inflation data dropping soon. That's going to sort of decide the next rate movement from the Bank of Canada, or at least sway it. And I'm going to do a breakdown on this channel about that. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want that the day it lands. For now, let's get into the data about this recession. First, the definition everyone is fighting over. A recession, the textbook version, is 2 consecutive quarters of real GDP contraction. And the word real actually matters here. Real GDP is adjusted for inflation. Why do we care? Because if we only look at normal GDP, a government could print money, hand it out, watch people spend it, and the economy would look like it's booming, while the dollars in your pocket quietly buys you less and less. So real GDP is the honest number. And on a real basis, Canada contracted, then stalled. Technically. And that's not even a recession yet. That's the doorway to one. But here's where it gets slippery. Ask 3 institutions what a recession is, and you'll get 3 different answers. And they'll change the answer depending on what they need you to believe that week. When a bank wants to sound cautious, it's 2 quarters full stop. When the central bank gets asked directly, suddenly it's a significant broad-based decline lasting more than 1 quarter, and by that definition, it's weak, but not clearly a recession. It's the same friggin' data, just different words. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so who's right? And the honest answer is, it doesn't matter. Let me show you why. For people like you and me, people trying to plan a mortgage or buying a home, deciding fixed or variable, the label recession, it's useless. What we need to know is one thing. Is the average Canadian getting wealthier or poorer? And there's actually a number for that. It's called GDP per capita, total economic output divided by the number of people, real economic activity per person. Here's the stat that very few are putting on the screen right now. From 2014 to 2024, Canada's real GDP per capita grew by a grand total of 3.2% over 10 years. We're not talking like 3.2% per year. We're talking 3.2% as a total. That's basically flat, and it gets worse. Over that decade, we fell behind 35 other countries, including Turkey, Latvia, Costa Rica, and Chile. Okay, now this is where I'm going to talk about something that people don't commonly talk about because it's a little depressing. Headline GDP numbers can still go up while you get poorer. How? Well, we add more people, bring in more residents, have them rent, spend, transact, and total GDP, well, it goes up. The pie looks bigger, but per person, the slice is still the same size or smaller. No one's actually getting ahead. So when the news says the economy grew, ask the real question. Ask the hard question. Grew for who? Because per person, Canada hasn't meaningfully grown since 2015. That's not a quarter-to-quarter blip. That's a full frickin' decade here, folks. What does a flat per-person economy actually look like in your life? Well, to be blunt, it feels exactly like the last 10 frickin' years. When real growth per person stalled, Canadians did the only thing they could to keep their lifestyles intact. They put the difference onto things like credit cards and lines of credit and other forms of credit. Household debt didn't explode because people got reckless. It exploded because wages stopped keeping up with the gap, and that gap continued to get harder and bigger, and people had to fill it somehow. And the biggest place that debt went, it was housing. Instead of the country getting more productive, our money poured into real estate, bidding each other up on the same houses year after year. And that's the quiet machine. As long as a home value keeps climbing, everyone feels richer. Nobody asks why the underlying economy isn't actually growing, and the whole thing just kind of holds on a little bit longer and holds on together. But here's the consequence that's going to land on your kitchen table. If your household income has been flat or grown very minimally in real terms for years, and you're now renewing your mortgage at a rate that's double what you signed at, you're not imagining that squeeze. The math is real and it's structural and it sucks. This isn't a you problem. This is a decade-long policy problem you inherited. Hope isn't a mortgage or wealth-generating strategy, and neither is waiting for a headline to tell you you're allowed to feel that pressure. You very much are. Now, let's connect this to where rates are heading, because this is the part that actually changes your decision-making. The Bank of Canada has admitted that if inflation wasn't a problem still, we'd likely be seeing them cut. Forecasters now have 2026 growth at just like 1.5%. So rate relief is likely coming once inflation decides to cooperate, which is really good news. But here's what a rate cut doesn't fix. It doesn't fix the per person stagnation. Cheaper money flows right back into the same places it always has: housing, instead of into businesses and productivity that would actually make Canadians and Canada wealthier. So when those cuts do come, don't read them as the economy is healed. Read them as borrowing got cheaper. Those are two completely different things, and confusing them is how people make emotional money mistakes that cost them thousands of dollars. Now, you might be wondering what this actually means for you. And as a mortgage broker, I'm going to put this practically. If rates do drift downwards, and if they're likely to drift down over the next year, your mortgage strategy isn't lock into a fixed rate based on fear, and it's also not gamble everything on variable. It's structuring a mortgage around what the math says is coming, not what the headlines say is happening. Because you can always renegotiate a rate if they fall. And we have programs that can help you do that. The thing you can never renegotiate is the price of the home or the debt you incurred if you locked in during a panic. And locking in during a panic with select lenders, well, that can be a huge problem and a major headache. And if you want help mapping out your specific mortgage, what the numbers actually mean for your renewal or a purchase, there's a link in the description below. There's no pressure. It's just clarity, trying to give you understanding. There's no cost for my time. It's a free consultation just to make sure you understand the details. And we can also touch on our penalty protection plan that allows people to pivot and access lower rates as they come available at a very, very significantly cheaper cost than what you might find with someone like RBC, TD, Bank of Montreal, CIBC. And if you're sitting at a renewal right now and you're trying to decide fixed versus variable in this exact environment, watch the video I put on the screen next. I run the real numbers on both so you can see which one might actually work best for you. And of course, if you want more information, the link's in the description below. Because the key takeaway, while the media keeps you arguing over whether one word applies or not, the real story is the one they're not putting on the screen. An economy that hasn't grown per person in a decade, propped up by debt and housing. That's the thing worth understanding. That's the thing worth talking about. Now, we're going to keep cutting through the noise on this channel and giving you math instead of drama. So if you want to see more videos like this, hit that like and subscribe button. My name's Myles Nowik, owner of the Nowik Mortgage Team, powered by Indi Mortgage. We'll catch you on the next one.